let's be honest for a second. Is your company's network actually keeping up with your business, or is it holding you back? In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about SD-WAN. And listen, this isn't just another tech upgrade. It's a totally different way for modern businesses to connect, operate, and frankly, to win. So let's get right into it and see how this can become your new secret weapon.
Here's a quick look at where we're headed. First, we'll talk about the problem, the limits of old-school networks. Then we'll get into why this is so urgent right now. After that, we'll introduce the solution, SD-WAN, and break down the real-world benefits. And we'll finish up with a clear path to get you there.
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1, the old network's limits. We need to talk about why the network that served you well yesterday is probably failing you today.
On one hand, you've got the old way of doing things, the traditional WAN. It's rigid, it's expensive, and it was built to force all your traffic back to one central data center. But on the other hand, you've got the reality of business today. You need to be fast, everyone's using cloud apps, and your team is spread out all over the place. You see the problem, right? The two just don't mix.
And this has been a long time coming. Back in the 2000s, it was all about those private, expensive MPLS circuits. Think of them as your own private highway, but it was incredibly inflexible. Then, in the 2010s, we tried to patch things up by adding regular internet into the mix, but honestly, it just made everything more complex and messy. Which brings us to today, where smart software, SD-WAN, can finally bring all of it together. Okay, so that's the what, but now for the really important part. Why does this matter so much? Right now. It all comes down to the pressures of doing business in a digital world.
Just look at that number, 94%. That's how many companies are using the cloud. This isn't some passing trend. It's the standard way of operating. And trying to force all that cloud traffic back through an old-school network, it's like a traffic jam, a massive productivity-killing bottleneck.
And let's be clear, these aren't just IT headaches. They are real business problems. You need to be agile, but your network is holding you back. You need to secure your remote workers, but your old security perimeter doesn't exist anymore. You need to open new branches fast, but it takes months to get a connection, all while your costs are going through the roof. I bet some of this sounds pretty familiar.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. We're not just talking about an IT upgrade, we are talking about business risk. Sticking with the old way means you're actively choosing to accept higher costs, more security holes, and frankly, you're letting your competition get ahead.
Okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk about the solution. It's time to meet SD-WAN, a much smarter approach to your network.
So, what is it really? Let's cut through the jargon. At its core, SD-WAN is just smart software that lets you use any internet connection you want. Cheap broadband, 5G, your old private lines, whatever. And it makes them all work together as one cohesive team. The goal? To connect your people securely to the apps they need, no matter where they are. Here's the best way to think about it. Imagine all your different internet connections are just a bunch of separate local roads. SD-WAN builds a smart superhighway right on top of all of them. This software overlay is like a Waze or Google Maps for your company's data, always finding the fastest, most reliable path in real time.
All right, now for the part I'm sure you've been waiting for, the tangible benefits. Let's talk about the bottom line, the ROI.
Let's start with the biggest one, money. By simply being smarter and using low-cost broadband internet, instead of those incredibly expensive private lines, companies are seeing their network costs drop by 30, 50, even 70%. Now that is a number that gets attention in any boardroom. But it's not just about cost savings. As great as that is, it's about being bulletproof. You can blend different connections, maybe a fiber line from one company and a 5G wireless connection from another. If one of them has a problem, the system doesn't even blink. Traffic just instantly and automatically moves to the working link. Your business never feels it.
This chart makes the value proposition crystal clear. That giant bar? That's the crazy high cost for every megabit of data on a traditional private line. And that little bar next to it? That's the cost when you use SD-WAN and broadband. You are getting so much more performance for every single dollar you spend.
And the advantages just keep stacking up. Agility goes from slow and painful to fast and automated. Performance for your cloud apps is optimized because you can go direct. Security is no longer stuck in one building. It's everywhere.
And your operations go from being a complex, costly nightmare to simple and centralized. It's a total transformation.
When you look at the whole picture, the business case is just undeniable. Yes, cost savings is a huge piece of the pie, but it's combined with making things simpler to run, making everything faster and more reliable, and making your entire company more secure. It's a win across the board.
Okay, you're probably thinking, this sounds great, but how do we actually do this? Let's talk about your path from strategy to reality.
And here's the really good news. You don't have to rip and replace everything overnight. This isn't some big, risky, all-or-nothing project. You can do it in phases. Start by just adding a low-cost broadband line alongside your existing network. Then you can start shifting less critical traffic over. Once you're comfortable, you can begin to eliminate those expensive old circuits. It's a very controlled, manageable process.
So, if you want to get the ball rolling, here is your playbook. First, take stock of what you have now: your assets, your costs, your contracts. Second, map out where you're headed with cloud and growth. Third, define your security needs. And finally, and this is the most important one, get your executive team on board. This is a strategic business decision, not just a tech project.
Now, this is really important for the long run. SD-WAN isn't just a fix for today's problems. It is the critical foundation for the future of security, an approach called SASE. All SASE means is combining your network and security into one single service in the cloud, so your users are protected everywhere, and you can't get to SASE without SD-WAN.
And this isn't some distant, far-off trend. Gartner is saying that by 2025, which is right around the corner, the majority of companies will be actively moving to SaaS. By putting SD-WAN in place now, you are perfectly positioning your company for the future. You're future-proofing your investment.
So let's just boil it all down. If you remember only 3 things, make them these. 1. SD-WAN is your foundation for being agile and secure. 2. It delivers real, measurable wins in cost, performance, and operations. And 3, if you call yourself a digital-first company, this is not optional. It is a critical enabler of your entire strategy. So I'll leave you with one final question to take back to your team. Right now, is your network an asset that is pushing your business forward, or is it an anchor, weighing you down and holding you back? Because in today's world, that's a choice you can't afford to get wrong.